What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I'm going to be sharing a bunch of tips to help you improve your kill-death ratio as well as stay alive longer in Advanced Warfare. I know a lot of people have been struggling to basically maintain the same kill-death ratio that they're used to maintaining in a Call of Duty, and that's because so many things have changed with Advanced Warfare. So today I'm going to be sharing a bunch of tips to help you in this area. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so when the game first came out, I noticed I was struggling quite a bit to maintain that same kill-death ratio that I was used to, and I'm not somebody that normally plays specifically to improve my kill-death ratio, but I was really starting to notice that I was barely breaking even a lot of the times, and I'm normally like a 2 to 3 kill-death ratio player. So over the past week or so, I've developed a bunch of little tips and things that have helped me a ton. And now I'm sort of back where I should be, where I feel I should be, and I'm getting those 2 to 3 kill-death ratios on a very consistent basis. The gameplay in the background is a very slow gameplay for me. Normally I like rushing a lot more than this, but I really wanted to be able to demonstrate the tips that I'm talking about in this video, and I feel like this gameplay does a very good job of demonstrating these tips. So the first tip that I have for you, and the number one thing that I've noticed that a lot of people are running into that's a big issue for them, is they're playing a little bit too aggressively and basically recklessly. They're just rushing out into the open, they're double jumping all over the place, and they're really easy targets for people that are playing calm and methodically. Now, I'm absolutely not saying that you should just camp. I'm just saying slow down your gameplay a little bit and move around the map with a little bit more awareness of what's going on before you actually push into a situation. So pay attention to where your teammates are on the minimap. Pay attention to where the enemies could potentially be spawning. If you see a big open area on the minimap where none of your teammates are, it's very likely that an enemy could be spawning there. Just pay really close attention to this, pay attention to the cover that you're using and your surroundings, and just slowly move around the map. Don't be afraid to be a little bit patient with someone too. If you know an enemy is coming towards you, or you have a pretty good idea that an enemy is coming towards you, don't be afraid to just back off, use cover, aim down sight, and wait for him to walk into your sights. That's not camping in my opinion, that's just smart play. Of course, once you get a hang of the game and the flow of everything, you can start rushing around and being a little bit more aggressive while still maintaining that awareness. But at this point, most of us don't really have the proper map awareness to rush effectively. The second tip that I have for you guys definitely relates to the first one, and that is go easy on the double jumps. I highly recommend that you only use the double jumps to get from the ground level to a rooftop or something, and I would avoid double jumping all over the place. I'm seeing people do this, and basically it's just saying, hey, look at me, I'm a big target that everyone can see now. This is me up in the sky. It's very easy for your eye to catch somebody that is flying up into the sky because the background is typically really flat, whereas the moving target is like a black moving target on a flat background. It's very easy to pick up on that, and very easy to kill people that are double jumping. So go easy on those double jumps. Of course, if you have to get to a rooftop or something, if that's what the situation demands, then by all means go and do it. But don't be boost jumping out in the open for no reason if you can just run there. I've noticed a lot of people, that's how they end up dying, and I noticed when I stopped doing this, or at least I prevented myself from doing this as often, and I was actually just running around the map more than just boost jumping whenever I possibly could. I found out my awareness was much better because there wasn't quite so much going on at once, because when you're boost jumping, you're constantly scanning everything that you can see, and it's just a lot happening at once, and it's too much to process for me anyways. I'm not some supercomputer, so I don't really, I'm not really able to handle all of that information at once. Whereas if you move, once again, methodically on the ground without boost jumping everywhere, then you can take your surroundings in a whole lot easier, and you can have a lot more awareness. Plus, it's a lot more difficult for your enemies to pick you up. The next tip that I have for you guys that will help you out immensely and basically give you free kills every game is learn the popular spots where people always like to hang out. Every single map has these spots on them, and these are spots where they're usually like an elevated position where they have a good vantage point over the map, and it's a very popular place for people to be. People are picking up on these spots and they're going to those spots. So just to give you an example, I can't go through every single one on every map or anything, but on Solar, for instance, right on top of this roof, there is almost always somebody there. So you want to always be aware of that spot, always check that spot, and always be aware of whether that spot has an advantage over you, whether they have a line of sight on you, Or can you flank that spot? How can you flank that spot and get to it effectively? And also, try to stay away from lingering in those spots if you find yourself in those positions. Because people are starting to pick up on that. People like me, we are picking up on these spots, and we'll be able to pick you off very, very easily. I consider these spots, when people are hanging out there, I consider them to be pretty much free kills, because I know how to effectively counter them now. Alright, so just to give you a couple more examples of these spots, let's look at green band. There's almost always somebody in this window of green band, and they're actually very easy to flank. So don't challenge these guys head on. It's very easy to just get around behind them and shoot them in the back. They're almost always going to be there, so it's just a free kill for you. Another example is Riot. If the enemy has control of that back rooftop by the basketball courts, there's almost always going to be somebody lingering right in this spot where I'm aiming. This is actually a very easy spot to counter if you're prepared for it and if you handle the situation properly. If you don't handle the situation properly though, that enemy has the height advantage and will usually get the kill on you. So I actually like to challenge that guy from the ground here, and I almost always pre-fire him. And I've gotten several kills this way because they have a really hard time shooting me when I'm head glitching behind some of this cover, and he doesn't really have much of a head glitch. He just has that height advantage, so it's very easy to counter these guys. Alright, so the last big tip that I'm going to give you guys in this video to help improve your kill death ratio and stay alive longer is use the dash exo movement as much as possible. I feel like you can't overuse the dash in this game. I'm talking about the ground dash specifically. So that is basically, you just have to click somewhat to the rear and either left or right with your analog stick while you're on the ground, and you will dash left or right. Don't dash straight backwards. That doesn't really help you a whole lot in a gunfight because it's very easy to stay on target on a guy that's dashing straight backwards, but it's very hard to stay on target against somebody that's dashing laterally. So really practice using this dash whenever you possibly can. If you're coming around a corner and you think there might be an enemy there, dash around that corner, aiming down sights, and get ready to fire as soon as you're dashing. Almost every time you'll be able to take this enemy off guard and he'll be dead before he even knew what hit him. One little tip with this dash is make sure you are pulling that analog stick somewhat to the rear rather than straight sideways. And the reason for this is even if you're like 1 degree forwards as you're trying to dash laterally, it will not dash. So a great habit that I've been working on is to pull the stick. Basically, if you're looking at it as if it's a clock, your analog stick, you want to pull it to either 5 o'clock or, what is it, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock? Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to picture a clock right now. Either 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So you want to bring it slightly backwards and laterally at the same time. If you try to go straight to 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock, it's very likely that you could accidentally be pushing just slightly forward on it, and then you won't dash and it'll just get you killed. So always bring it slightly to the rear. So those are the tips that I've picked up over the past week or so that have allowed me to significantly improve my game and allow me to stay alive a lot longer and go on longer streaks. If you follow these tips, I'm sure you'll also find improvement in your game. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.